You're listening to the Convene Connections podcast with your host, Matthew Curry.
And good evening, everybody. I know that everybody's been waiting on this one. This one's been a long time coming. All right? Everybody's waiting on this. And Todd, you don't even know how many millions of people are going to be watching this tonight because Todd Bray, the Code Wizard, is on. How are you, Todd?
Doing well. I feel like we've done this before. I really do.
Well, you know, if I'm being honest with you, there could have been a time we did it before. I don't know what happened to it. Why don't you tell the story what happened to it?
It's lost to history. So, meeting Matt in his office, drive from East Tennessee, across the mountains to North Carolina, had a great day in the Convene offices. We did, talked for a good hour and a half, talked about the new things coming to the site and everything, the history of it. Waited for it to be posted on the website, and I waited until I found out Matt accidentally deleted it.
Well, see, that's why I do podcasts with Stezo now, right? Because there's no chance for me to do something stupid like you driving from Tennessee all the way to North Carolina, me interviewing you, and yeah, I deleted it, man. I'm sorry. I felt so bad when I called you after that, and I told you I deleted it. Yeah, that broke my heart for a minute.
And what would be? I wish you hadn't deleted it because it would be really cool to look back. Because I remember we talked about what was coming and what was new and what changes were made. To compare that, which was a year and a half ago, to what the site is now.
Exactly. Well, we're going to get into something about some of that stuff about where we're at now to, where we were when you first started and all that. But first, just introduce yourself. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and just give everybody an idea. And I'll say this, okay? If you guys tonight on this show are having trouble understanding me and Todd, because we both talk a little country, right?
Just a little
country, we'll kind of clarify. So just ask questions if you're having trouble understanding us, and we'll fix it up for you. Go ahead, Todd. Introduce yourself.
So my name is Todd Bray. I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee. I've been with Convene almost 4 years now. Mm-hmm. I'm the lead developer and programmer for the platform. So pretty much when you log into Convene, into the actual platform, what you're seeing is what I've designed and coded over the last 4 years.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. And it's really pretty cool that I'm sharing this on my personal Facebook page. But yeah, it's really cool. I mean, you've done 99% of all the coding that's on here, right? And who would have thought that two redneck boys could come together and create something like Convene?
And two coders, great PHP. I mean, HTML, all this different internet code. I mean, Matt, you've helped me so much with it.
It's like today we were. You can explain it to everybody, and it's gotten to the point. Let's just be honest with this. It's gotten to the point. I was asking you if something could happen, and I had to say to you, I said, Todd, if then, right?
That's all it is.
If then, that's all coding is.
Yeah.
It's
if
all
then
coding.
And just looping through stuff and just
it's looping.
It's all just characters.
Yeah. If we want this to show, then this has to happen, and that's how it is. It's really coding is that simple.
It's not. Not at all.
So let's talk a little bit about you came on to Convene, like we said, about 4 years ago, beginning of January 2007.
January of 17, yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about your introduction to Convene Communities.
So I was finishing my last semester at Austin Peay University, getting my computer science degree with specialization in web design, mobile development. And one of the classes that I had to take was actually an internship. I had to do 135 hours with a web design company. And they picked the company and everything for me. I had to interview and all that. And I got on with Cindy Cullen Web Services. And pretty much maybe the second day, she came up, she sent me an email and said, "Do you know anything about databases?" I said, "Sure. It's kind of one of the things I specialize in." She goes, "Well, here, create these database tables for me." And she sends me a list of like 25 tables. And the tables are for communities and users and experiences and groups and all this different stuff. Had no idea what I was doing. I mean, I knew how to create them, but she didn't give me any background or anything. It was just create these tables. So a couple weeks go by and she starts giving me a little bit of work, for the site. And even then, it took me a good 2-3 weeks because she never really told me what it was or anything. The only solace that I had was the one community that we had started was the soccer community. That was our first community. I said, "Hey, I'm a soccer fan. I'm going to enjoy this."
Yeah.
But it took a good 2 or 3 weeks before I really understood kind of what was going on. And then over the next few months, she would send me, little things here and there to work on and do. And then that fateful day, and I think you know exactly what I'm talking about, where and then after I had done my internship, I stayed on with her and was still working on Convene a little bit. She's like, "Well, instead of me being the middleman, let me introduce you to, the guy who we're building this website for. Would you care just to talk to him directly?" I said, "Sure, make things faster, make things easier."
You know what you were getting into.
50,000 emails and 25,000 text messages later, here we are.
Well, let me tell you my side of that story, right? So, yeah, I know that there's this somebody working on it. Mm. And you know me, I'm a very patient person when it comes to Convene. So I don't really get ahead of myself. I just sit back and wait. And we know that's not true. And so in my mind, I'm waiting and waiting and I'm like, and things are happening really, they're going well, but they're happening. But I'm like, so what I was having to do is I would go to Cindy and I would say, "Hey, Cindy, can we have this happen?" "Yeah, we can have this happen." And then she would talk to you. Mm-hmm. Then I would wait and wait and wait. And then finally it would get back to me. So finally one day I called her and I'm like, "You know what? Is there any way I can talk to this person, whoever this person is?" I had no idea who this person was. And so, And so she was like, "Well, yeah, why don't you just talk to him instead of going through me every time?" It was like a revelation that happened. It was, and that's when, next thing you know, we're talking. So
yeah, and she asked me, and I was like, "Sure," because a lot of times things get lost in translation. You pass it on to her, and she might not really, know exactly what you want. So just going from one to the other, it's so much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I will tell you, Todd, that was the turning point of Convene Communities. That conversation, you were already doing great things, but what I loved about that, well, first impression was, there's no way me and you could pull this off, but you're one of the smartest, and I'll say this, and I truly mean this, you're one of the smartest people that I know. Even though I do give you advice on coding, you're definitely one of the smartest people I know. And but that was the turning point. And the reason why I say that is because you understand, once we talked, and I don't think you can tell me, but I don't think it took very long. Once we talked and I explained what's going on up here and what my big idea was, you got it. You understood it.
And like I was saying, it took me a good month or two of, even before I had met you, when I was just working on it. I mean, she had explained to me what it was, but I really did. And then we were just that one day when it just clicked. And I was like, okay, I see how this can be used and, what tools it needs to have and things like that, because this was really kind of what I specialize in. Anything that works with databases and data entry and, learning. Both my brothers are teachers. So they've had to use, online tools for their teaching and things like that. And so that one day it just clicked and I was like, okay, I know exactly how I'm going to move forward with this.
Yeah, exactly. Hold on. I signed myself out of Facebook. How did I do that?
I can tell, how much I'm on Facebook.
Exactly. You hate Facebook. That's because you've created a site that's much better.
Well,
than
and
that.
it's so weird having a tech person that stays
Yeah.
off social media and doesn't know how. And I still tell people to that I still don't know how to use Facebook.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you
I
that.
don't use it.
I will tell you that one of the most infamous people of Convene Communities just showed up, and that is Melinda, right? And Shayna said to Melinda, "Melinda, you're next." And she
Yes.
said, Melinda said, just so you know, she said, "I'm here because I'm a Todd fan." She didn't say, "I'm here because I'm a Matt fan." No, we get, "I'm here because I'm a Todd fan." What's up
If
with that?
if she was such a fan, she wouldn't have spelled my name wrong on the.
That's true.
That's all I
Yeah.
can say.
Yeah, and she did. She spelled your name wrong. I just did it again. This is craziness. Um,
See, Convene's a lot easier to use than Facebook.
It is.
So you wouldn't log out so much.
I would be logging out, logging in because I'm sitting there trying to respond to these people that are posting. Yeah, we got a lot of people watching, Todd. A lot of the Convene people are lifting you up and singing your praises. So, I got to ask this question. So when, and I really want to know your true answer. When you first had that conversation and we first talked, and I started giving you this big grand plan, this big idea that I had about this big website, did you ever have any clue you were getting into what you were getting into? What did you think?
In a way, but not really.
Uh-huh.
Because, and like I've explained to you several times, this is the hardest type of website that someone could possibly create.
Yeah.
Because, me to whip up a website for a company where you put a few pictures and stuff like that, it takes no time. But actually building a website where all the content is not created by the web designer, but by the users, I mean, that's the next level, because there's all sorts of checks and, you got to check this. And what if someone uploads a Word document instead of a picture? What do you do? There's just so many different situations. Like you were saying before, your if-thens.
I was going to ask Steve did you hear that, Steve? He's talking about if-thens and all that. Did you hear that? Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I knew it would take a while, 4 years, not quite, but Matt always has some good new ideas coming around, and
yeah, exactly.
I wait patiently for those emails to come through. But in all seriousness, we've taken this slow. We could have banged things together and had it done, maybe a year ago. But taking it slow, making sure we had everything right, things are still coming together. But I think what we've made, will blow any other side out of the water.
Well, I know it will. I mean, it's not that I know it will. I mean, the depth, and we'll get into that here in a minute, just all the different functionality, all the different things that Convene can do. I mean, there are sites that do certain things, but we do everything. And that's one, maybe, to be honest, and that's one of the detriments, right? But until we get people to understand our site does so much. It encompasses so much. And so, certain learning management system. We're not just a learning management system, but certain learning management system, you pop a video in, you watch it, you take a multiple choice test, you go to the next video, you might answer some multiple choice questions, and you move on. And that's how you learn. That's not learning. That's not what this is. That is not what this is. It has those elements in it, but it's not what Convene is, So,
and we've talked several times, that first user logging on to Convene, and, you've got all these options, and it's scary at first, and it really is. But once you navigate around the site and see all the tools and everything like that, you're right. I mean, there's tons of different things, and we try to create it where it's not for one person. It's not for a small business trying to do. It's not for someone trying to educate people. It can be used for so many different situations.
Absolutely. There's no end to what it can be used for.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the coolest things about it. There's no end. So you come in, become part of Convene. She turns this code over to you. We were talking about this earlier. What could you do when you started? What could happen in Convene when you started? Now
when
let's
I
back up.
started,
This is the number 4 iteration of Convene, right?
correct.
This was the number 4. So, what could you do?
When I started it, Cindy had pretty much, and she built the framework of it. So she built all the database tables, all the framework that it runs on. She had all that set up. But when you could go in and you could create an experience. And that experience could have background information, open-ended questions, and a message board, and a lesson learned. Those were the 4 things that you could put in an experience. And you could also create a group, but there were no group pages.
Yeah.
So you could create a group and it would put it in the system. That's all it would do.
Yeah, you couldn't do anything.
And that's basically all the site was. And you could register. You could register as a user.
Register. There were some experiences in there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's all you could do. You listen to that, Shayna. Can you hear what Todd's been able to do? Because Shayna's watching. That's all you could do. I remember I got back from a flight and I was so excited. This is true. I don't know if you know the story. I was so excited that you could create a group, that we had it to where you could create a group. Because in my older versions of this back in the day, you couldn't create groups. There was no groups. So I was so excited that you could create a group. I got back from flying a race and I didn't leave the hangar at where the helicopter is. And I did a Zoom meeting so I could demo it to somebody. Mm-hmm. And I demoed the group, and all you could do is create a damn group. You couldn't do anything else. It's just you could create a group.
I remember when Cindy said, "Okay, you can create a group. Now we need a page for it." And basically, it was just a single page. So once you created your group, it had the group name, it had the group information, and it was just a single page. And of course, now you have a group message board. You've got announcements. You've got experiences inside it. You've got subgroups. You've got all these different pages.
Syllabi, yeah.
Syllabi, yes.
You have a message board where you can have likes, dislikes, emojis. That was a big deal, for people. So, Todd hates emojis. So I mean. Think about that was, 2017, beginning of 2017, and that's how far we've come. Mm-hmm. Group, subgroups, syllabi, multiple syllabi, project management, you name it, you can do it in there. We went from the soccer community being the first responders being one of the first right there, all the way to all these communities, all these community leaders, all these people that, all the stuff that these people can do in it.
And we were talking right before this show that I still have some of the code that I was working on right before I got in contact with you. And I looked it up. So in one of the files, basically the file that controls experiences, not the pages that you see, but just the file that, when you create an experience, it creates it for you. Or if you answer a question, it puts that in the database for you. I opened up that file and it was 460 lines of code. The experience controller now has almost 5,000.
And that's just one thing.
That's just one file. That's one file that controls one thing about experiences.
So if you had to guess, Meg, if you had to just take a guess, because I know you don't really know, I mean, you can probably figure it out, take it a little bit. How many lines of code is Convene?
The actual code, of course, there's all sorts of code that was already, with the framework and things, but the actual code that we control that makes the website, over 50,000. Easily over 50,000.
I wrote most of it. Mm-hmm. I did. I mean, it's just what I do. I mean, what I do, there's a lot of times, not always, but there is a lot of times that I am moral support. I'm the big cheerleader for Todd. And I'll sit there and we'll talk and you'll show me and we'll talk about it and you'll write the code right there.
And just like today, because anytime there's a bug with something new I'm coming up with, I just show it to Matt because it's guaranteed. First time I show it, something's going to go wrong.
It does. That's right.
And it happened today. And I was like, that was working until Matt sees it. And then it goes wrong.
So Melinda, she's watching, so she'll recognize this. This is Todd, everyone. This is Todd when myself, I'm going to reenact Todd, when myself and Melinda and Todd would be on a call. And we would ask him, can it do this? Can it do this? Oh, it cannot do this. I don't think it can do this. There's just no way it can do this. And so we keep talking and Todd's doing this and doing this. And you know, you had a breakthrough when Todd goes.
and then you have Eugene in that call who says, well, when is it going to be live?
Yeah. And then Eugene's in the call and he'll say, yeah, exactly. That happened today because Eugene was on with us and he said, well, that's great. When will it be live? Well, how many days? What's the deal? All right. So this is Eugene's question, speaking of Eugene, that he had for you. What is different about this platform? There are a lot of competing companies. What makes this one different?
I think we've already kind of talked about that. It's just the depth of things you can do. And, it's not one target audience. It's not one person who wants to sell their past experiences for something. It can be used for companies, small businesses, small groups, classrooms, sports teams. There's just so many different people that can use it. And of course, there's some features on the site that they'll never touch. Yeah. They're not going to need to use it. For example, you could have a soccer team who never publishes an experience in their group, but they could use the site for announcements. They can put files, communication, message boards, all that stuff. They could use that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the big thing, and you just hit the nail on the head with that. And I love that you said that, because one of the things, obviously, the site is built. The core principle of the site is built off of. Now, we're going to break some of this stuff down. Let's talk about experience. The core principle of the site is experiential learning. We want to put people in the site where they can learn from each other's situations, right? And like you hear me talk about, I say it all the time, we all have a story. We all have that path that we've walked down. And then some of us have different things to intersect, right? So an example, you and I both love baseball, right? So there's a baseball community incoming soon. When I let Todd have a free moment, that baseball community will come out and it'll be alive.
When you gave me that free week.
Yeah, when I give you a free week. So you got a couple of years till baseball community will be out in live. And Tito, you'll like that one because it has to do with more about fantasy baseball, more about, baseball statistics, all those different things. So Steve's a big baseball fan. So that, it's built around that premise that we can all learn from each other. Mm-hmm. The next thing is the group feature. The group feature is really big to me because if we'll take me as an example. I'm a speaker, I'm a trainer, I do podcasting, I'm a counselor. Well, when I go out and I speak at a corporation, this is one of the things that used to bother me. And this is one of the big premises, right? Used to bother me when I'd speak at a big corporation or I'd speak at a conference. Everybody, when I got done, they were like, oh, we love what you had to say, blah, blah, blah. It's all great. And then it was, I'm gone. So I didn't have a lead behind. So the idea that I can have a group and that people could follow me in that group, and then I can continue to release and put content in, but I can continue to collaborate and communicate and work with these people inside of that group feature. That's where all this came from. That's where all this, me and you going back and forth, and Melinda on there, Eugene on there, Braden on there, Jeff on there, all our team going back and forth, morphing this thing over time around these these ideas were important. So one of the things that is also built on this is we want people to be able to create content and sell their content. So we have sellable content. But we also want people to be able to sell people's content. So we have an affiliate program that's built in. We weren't going to go out and use one off the shelf. So Todd built us an affiliate program, So I could just keep going on and on. So it's amazing just all the stuff that we have in there. Melinda said 2 soccer teams could be assigning each other's training experience to their teams. It has the potential to be a crowdsourcing for great training. And that is true because if people create, crowdsourcing is so true. And I'm glad Melinda brought that up, because the way it's written, if somebody creates a public experience, I can take that because it's a free public experience. And I'm a soccer coach, and you wrote that experience, and I read it and I'm like, well, this is a good thing. I can learn from this. Let me share this experience with my team. You made it public, so I can go share that experience right over to my team, and it copies it, puts it in there.
And you can even assign it to, so maybe you have an experience that only deals with forwards, so you could copy that experience in your group and then assign it to your forwards in that group.
Yeah.
There's so many applications.
It really is. It really is pretty amazing. We could keep going on, and then I keep coming up with new stuff. I can see some stuff on your board behind you, right?
Emojis is on there. I will guarantee you that. It's down on the list, but it is on there.
Yeah. No, so this thing is really gotten us to the point when you worked really hard on it. I totally appreciate how hard you worked on it. What's been the biggest challenge besides me?
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
A lot of the testing, as far as, like I was saying before, the user content coming in, that's always a challenge because you have to think about every possible scenario that could be done. If you're asking someone to load a picture, and the text editor that we use, what if someone puts something in there that they should, just the testing of the content that goes in is by far probably the longest running, because every new thing we come up with, you have to do it all over.
Yeah. Jeff said, talk about soccer more. It's a good job.
I'm trying to get some free advertising for the
Lenny
soccer community.
I need emojis and gifts. So funny. What's the best part about being a part of Convene?
Just seeing it evolve, just knowing, like I said, I've pretty much been here since day one, just knowing what it started out as and then what it is now, just all the functionality that you can use it for.
Yeah. Braden asked, Todd, how did you get into computer science? He said, why study it in school and pursue a career in the field? Why become the code wizard?
Okay. Funny story. So I growing up, early 90s, mid 90s, when computers were really starting to hit the market, and everybody had computers, and I was always good with them. Even when I was in middle school, if a teacher had a problem with the computer, they would come to me. I've just naturally been a tech guy. I get it from my uncle. He always had, the newest stuff, the newest stereos, the newest computers, a DVD player. It actually plays discs. Oh, we got to get one of those. But as I was getting older and I was trying to choose a career, I said, well, I don't want to do something where I'm sitting in front of a computer all day. Even though I'm good at it and I enjoy it, I don't want that to be my career. Yeah. So I had several different majors. I was an English major. I was pre-med for a little while. I was a history major. But I wasn't really happy with any of those. And I got to seeing that, it's getting to a point where everybody sits in front of a computer every day. No matter what career you do, you're going to be on a computer. And so finally I was like, well, I enjoy it. So I'll go back to school and get my computer science degree. So went back, I needed 3 or 4 math classes, got my associates, and then went on to get my bachelor's degree. And I enjoy being down here in my office, working from home. You know how much I travel. My brother and I take summer trips in our RV, and I can work from home. I don't have to be tied down to one place to be able to do what I do. Yeah.
You'll come on by the campfire.
Mm-hmm.
Cody.
Sitting outside by the campfire in a meeting.
Yeah. Tell us real quick, because I think this is interesting. You take this summer trip because you mentioned that.
Mm-hmm.
Where's one of the main places you go every year, every time you go? And you kind of know what I'm getting at, because to me, it's awesome that you go to this.
Usually we go to, and mainly the guy who runs the campsite, he's from Knoxville. He graduated from Tennessee, but Gettysburg, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
We go pretty much every year, and he knows it's the Tennessee boys. He always comes up and talks, and it's just a beautiful campsite. You know, it's not really near the city, and that's our rest and relaxation period.
Yeah.
You know, just sit outside, sit by the campfire, eat out. But we've been as far as New York. We camped in the Catskills right outside New York City. Been up to Boston. We've been to Cooperstown.
Yeah.
Still one of the coolest experiences I've ever had. And then we've been out to Colorado, Arizona. We're filling in our map.
Your Convene shirt the Convene shirt worn by Todd has been in front in Times Square.
In Times Square.
That's your profile picture. So yeah, absolutely. So what about, let me ask you about this, and there's a couple of questions I'm going to get to here in just a moment, but what about working with people? What about how this has grown? Because like in the beginning, you were just stuck with, you know, me and Melinda and Eugene and, you know, Jeff sometimes, but now let's talk about some of the people that you get to work with and some of the calls that you've been on lately and how impactful that is to, you know, you and everything.
And you know me, I'm just natural talker. I mean, I love it. So when Cindy first came up to me and says, "Do you want to just talk?" I was like, "Absolutely."
Yeah.
You know, I would much prefer talk, and which is one of the reasons, you know, my feelings about emojis, you know, talk, communicate. Come on. Yeah. I've got to meet people, explain the site, the Convene coaching program. I mean, working with Lisa has been great. Just built her community out for her and her new course, but just seeing and talking to these people, how they would use it. And even if it's something that I can't do. So if they're wanting, you know, is there any way I could do this? You know, well, that might not be possible, but it might give me an idea on some other aspect of that would work for the site. Yeah. And it just helps me get ideas. You know, the more I talk to people, the more I get their experiences using the platform. That just helps me even more. Because that way it's not just me. It's not just me trying to think, well, how would I do this? You know, when I get to talk to more people, it makes my job a whole lot easier.
Yeah. Well, you and I have talked a lot about every once in a while, we work on it so much and we talk so much and we go back and forth on it so much, we get tunnel vision. Mm-hmm. You know, we get caught up in our own little area and we just, you know, don't realize all the things that people want and, you know, just what they're seeing, because sometimes we're not seeing what they're seeing because we work in admin mode so much. And, you know, remember, there's admins, there's members, you know, so we're seeing always in that different area, which is really, really cool to go back and forth.
And trying to go slowly when talking to people and demoing the website, because you and I know this site like the back of our hands. You know, we can click, 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 click. Oh, to go here? Yeah, sure. Click, click. But trying to remember, but wait a minute, this person has no idea what this site is or how to get this place or how to navigate to this place. So just kind of slowly showing, you know, this is how you would do it.
Hey, I don't know if you're still watching, but another Knoxville, Tennessee boy just tuned in, Jason Deal. So,
got to get some 865 love out there.
So how did you feel? Like, how did this make? So we talked about Lisa, right? Mm-hmm. You worked with Lisa and you helped her build her course, and you got it in there. Did you have a little gratification on Saturday morning when a notice came across that Lisa? You launched it on Thursday. Saturday morning, Lisa sold her first course.
Absolutely. And even more to what the course is about. I mean, Lisa's course is for retired military veterans who are trying to get disability, Social Security disability. And my father is a Vietnam veteran, and he has disability. And so while I was making the course, it meant even more to me because I knew who this course would be helping, for veterans and their families to be able to easily navigate. Because I remember how much trouble he had. And I remember all the loopholes and, well, you need to go see this and do this, and you need to fill out Form 17D. And, so for a community to be there who can help veterans through that, it was a pleasure to work for me.
Yeah, that's really cool. And our coaching program is important. We're going to stand up. We talked about this earlier today. So we're standing up some training groups, right? That's coming. And so we're going to have basically a code wizard group. Talk a little bit about that. I mean, I think that's going to be a great group that I think a lot of people can tap into, small groups and all that. And so talk about that.
And my focus on that, and it's always been my idea that the hardest thing for someone when they join Convene is how to use it. Yeah. How do I get around? How do I create a group? How do I get to my profile page? Just simple things, but things that when you open a site that you've never seen before, there really can't be a big arrow that says, hey, click here for profile. So just helping people get over that initial shock of seeing all the stuff and knowing where to go and how to do this, how to crop a picture, how to, do all these things and all these simple tutorials that will really make the experience on the platform a lot easier.
Yeah. And you and I talk about that a lot too, because I think a lot of times, like we just said, there's so much to it. And so we don't want people to come in and they're so used to this, right? They're so used to this. They're so used to that. They're so used to, Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or, all these different sites, and they can just grab it, post a picture and move on.
Yep.
Post a comment, some emojis and move on.
Here's what I had for dinner. Smiley face, smiley face, smiley face. Post.
Yeah. And so that's not what we are, right? So you're right. So that user experience that we're always trying to work on, that understanding. So if I ask, and we think about this, and I know we've talked about this, it's, I know I've talked about it a lot with Melinda, but if somebody's going to create a website, like Melinda creates websites, right? If they wanted to do what she did, there's a bit of a learning curve to create a website. So would you say that there's a bit of a learning curve for Convene Communities?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and I think that's so important. So we're trying to, and that's the point. We're trying to put things into place that are going to help people, learn. And that course, I'm really excited about that group. It's really a course, it's a group that you're going to be putting together. And, people are going to be able to, come on and basically take a group with you, a premier group, and spend the time with you, and you're going to coach them. And you're going to coach them through the technical side of Convene Communities. And I think that's going to be a great thing that we're offering to people. Now they can do it on their own, right? So if they don't want to sit through a course with Todd Bray or sit through time with Todd Bray, we have tons and tons and tons of tutorials.
That will be going live in the next week or two. Yes. Our hope is to pretty much release them starting out with simply navigating the platform, how to get around, where's the menu? How do I get to my profile? Just simple things like that. And then each part of that will be compounded on even more. So, and it will go as far as creating your own premier group.
Exactly.
So it will cover almost every part of the platform.
So in the next couple of minutes, if you have great ideas that you want me to consider and us to, bombard Todd with new ideas that we need to add to the site, make sure to ask him in the next couple of minutes. Or if you have any questions for Todd, simple questions, they can just be simple questions like, what's your dog's name? Indy,
Indiana.
That's right.
I wish he could be down here, but he would be in my lap right now, and he's 70 pounds. So that would not be easy.
Yeah. So Lindy asked, what about APIs? Is that on the horizon of bringing other things in? This is something I bring up to you all the time.
Yes. And yes, we would hope so.
Yeah.
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 We would hope so. That's definitely. And my oldest brother right now is teaching, and he's actually teaching one virtual class. And so the thing that they uses APIs to connect to like Google Drive, and you can use it for Cami, which is just a PDF editor and things like that. So in the future, absolutely. I mean, we would love to have things like that where you could, post something, maybe in a classroom setting, post something on the site. The student could use an API to download that, make all the, type all the answers and everything, and then post it back to the site, things like that. That's definitely things that are on the horizon. And like we've said, we're not going to finish this site and be like, well, we're done. It's always going to be improved. And, who knows what new features we might add a year from now.
Yeah. I mean, who knows what features we might add by the end of 2020.
You really want to talk about that, don't you?
Exactly. Exactly. Well, look, here's the other things. The site has, you mentioned Google Drive. Well, it's like a mini SharePoint. You can put documents in there. We built that in. One of the next things we built in is the ability to have a project management. So project management right now is on the white labeled sites, the business sites. So businesses can have project management. That is going to be moved into the community site. There's a little bit of work that we have to incorporate that, because that is going to be something that people can buy and use in the group setting, right?
And the community setting. I mean, the hope is that you will be able to buy it so a community leader could use it and then assign it to different members of the community, or a group could purchase it and use it within their group. Either way.
Yeah. So what else is coming?
The CRM. We will have and the plan is that it will be very simplified. It will be so for any business or individual who wants to save contacts, meetings, notes, to-do lists, anything that will help you through your day-to-day, basically a day planner. Yeah. And with that, a calendar. So you'll be able to book meetings and everything, be able to view your daily schedule on a calendar. That is the next big project. Yeah. And like Matt said, I unfortunately gave him a timetable that I hope to have that released by the end of the year.
There's no hope. I have faith, right?
Have I ever let you down in the past?
You have not. You always
other than the emojis.
Yeah. You always hold true, so that's good. All right, couple of serious questions for you. All right, and I know there'll be more that are coming in. Okay. Who is the greatest Tennessee QB of all time?
I mean, why would someone even ask that? I mean, now that played for Tennessee or is from Tennessee?
All right, clarify that one.
No, it's Peyton Manning. I mean, it has to be.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Peyton Manning is one of my favorite players of all time. All right, next question. Another serious question. Okay. When are you going to host a cookout in Knoxville? And everybody knows Todd has a pool in his backyard, right? So this is a serious question. We could have a cookout at Todd's house around the pool. When's that happening?
Whenever Melinda shows her face. That's when it will happen, because she has to come. And if she doesn't come, then nobody can.
Oh my gosh, I don't think they've heard that. I'm still liking it on Facebook like they don't know what's coming. Oh, I can't wait to see this reaction. I died. I watched it on Facebook. I died. That was so funny. So,
because I can see just like a computer being shipped and it be Melinda. She just show up in a Zoom meeting.
Yeah. So we're never having a damn cookout. I'm going to die of starvation. 2025. Melinda said 2025. Yeah. And then probably what will happen is Melinda will be moving the weekend that you scheduled the that you schedule
See,
that.
but the better plan, rather than coming to my house, is everybody just jump in the RV and then we go to Melinda's house.
We go to Tampa. We go down. Yes. Now you're talking. Now that's a plan because.
And see, with East Tennessee weather, you never know. But, it's Tampa. We could go anytime. It's going to be sunny and 70.
Exactly. Well, I'm freezing today. Like today, a whole day I was cold. So we need to move this operation south.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good plan. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So if anybody else got any more questions about that, we'll try to get a date put out for the North Tampa, the Tampa cookout there.
Maybe meet in Winston-Salem, and then we'll all just head down to Tampa.
We'll meet at the corporate office in Winston-Salem. Gone. Caravan to Florida. Eugene said, good plan. Right. Oh, I love that. No, that's good. Bunch of thumbs up going there. So we're in good shape. No, seriously, Todd, this is, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. And I say that in all sincereness. We wouldn't be here if, she had not have said, hey, why don't you two guys talk? Mm-hmm. Because that was missing. That what was missing is that, you and me sitting there and working together, and you taking what's in this little bitty brain, because it ain't a big brain, it's a little redneck brain, and just taking that idea and getting it. So one of the serious questions that I have, and this is probably one of the biggest arguments that you and I have had the whole time we've been working through this whole thing. That was one day that you made the mistake of calling Convene your baby. You remember that?
I do remember that. The actual site, not the idea of Convene, but the actual site.
And what was that? Do you remember my answer to you?
I don't know if I can say that on this live podcast. But we did come to a compromise. Though. We
did come to a compromise. What is the compromise?
It is your baby, but I'm its godfather.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, that was a serious conversation. We had to work through that real quick, but
it's just misinterpreted.
Yeah, it was misinterpreted, but we got that clarified. And so that was awesome. So that's good. Anybody else got any more questions for Todd about what kind of demands, what kind of requests you want, what kind of things we need on the site?
Just laying more work on me, aren't you?
Laying more work on you. Let's talk about a little bit about this. So we have the community site, but we have white label sites.
Correct.
Right. So talk a little bit about your thought process and the difference in that and how you've kind of broken that out.
The white label sites is your businesses. And, we are a training site. I mean, that's whether it being someone joining a community who wants to share their content or a company who wants to use it for training their employees. And what we've been working on the last few days is we're actually using a white label site that we created as our site, as Convene site. So we have different groups. I have my own group for all the tech questions and tech posts and stuff. We've got a marketing and sales. So we're using it like a company would, and we'll be able to release experiences, ideas on what we have, things that may be able to add. So we will be able to use it like a company would, along with the project management system. And then once the CRM comes through, we'll be able to use that for Convene's business activity.
Yeah, exactly. So anybody that out there that knows a business, somebody that might be interested in it, we're really getting ready. That's been a big focus of Convene's in the last, we have, when you talked earlier, you said we rolled this out slowly, right? And we did our thing. And so if you look at the communities, we really rolled it back out with the communities. That's good core group, good testing. We got us a good contract with the company, big company. So we'll leave that alone. And now we've just rolled into the idea of now it's time to reset, start going after some of those white labeled companies and all that. So that's been a big push. I got to thank the team, Shayna and Melinda. Melinda's redone the website. Shayna has made a great brochure. If anybody knows any white label sites or small businesses that would be interested, or large business, it could be as big a company as you want, because Boeing is using it. There you go. So it can be a big company. We can do our thing and come in there and do it. It's different. It's scenario-based training. It is capturing your corporate knowledge. It is capturing your lesson. That's where Convene came from. I know we talked a lot today about the communities, but really this all started with corporate training. This all started with big companies using it, the concept. So, you can't argue with what Convene is, because when I go in and I explain it to somebody, I'm talking about capturing their corporate knowledge, capturing their lessons learned, not making the same mistakes over and over, not losing money, not losing life, not losing limb. All those different things can be accomplished, and trained through our platform.
And that's another one of the challenges to the site, but something that makes the site so unique is when we implement something, we're thinking so many different ways. How would a company use this?
Yeah.
How would an individual use this who just wants to, spread the word to people that follow them or anything? So you have to think about so many different ways it can be used.
Yeah. That's right. One of the things that Melinda just said, she said, one of the great things about our company too, is that we're all spread out across the country. She said, I don't know if I mentioned that. And that's very true. We are. You're in Tennessee. She's in Florida. Eugene's in North Carolina. Jeff's in North Carolina. Braden's in North Carolina. And then, I got Shayna over there in Tennessee also. So we're getting a little bit of a Tennessee influx.
We're catching up. We're going to overtake North Carolina at some point.
He's all over the map. I guess probably in Florida right now. Not sure. So we're a very virtual team. We work pretty hard at doing this, but then you go into our community leaders. We have community leaders in communities all over the country now. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right. What do you want to say? What do you got? Anything?
I got to get back to work. I mean, this CRM is not gonna finish itself.
Exactly. It is not going to finish itself. Exactly.
Yeah. It's, working on this site has been so much fun and so pleasurable because I love building things. And it's one of the things that drew me to computers and websites and things like that. And I've been talking to you before, say, I got to go build a shed outside, just any little thing that I can create and build.
Yeah.
I love doing it. And that's one of the things that drew me to this is, I pretty much started almost from day one. So to be able to work on this and just build it piece by piece, and you want to see that finished product. You want to see the end of the road, what this becomes. You don't just want to, I've done my part, I'm going to dip out now. You want to see the end product.
Yeah.
And that's why I still enjoy it even now. Even when you send me an email about the 3 different things we need to add, I want to work on it because it's going to make the site better.
Yeah. Yeah. That only happens a few times a day. Yeah. I remember when you gave me your phone number, you were like, are you kidding me? You want my phone number?
That was very reluctantly gave you my phone number.
Yeah. I haven't blown it up too bad. I just send email.
But I mean, it makes communication so much easier, where you can just, 911, and you always will send a text with those 4 exclamation points. And as soon as I see that, I'm like, oh no, the site's down. Can you change this experience and just make it live? Oh no.
Yeah. Get all excited. I throw a bunch of exclamation points on there. So that's good. Yeah. They're all saying that they're delightful to work with. That's what is making this experience so good for you. That's what that's what the team is saying. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. You've seen how we start our meetings out. The first 15 minutes has nothing to do with Convene.
Yeah.
It's just joking around, having a good time. I mean, it's easy when people on a team get along and work together well, and it makes the job so much easier.
Yeah. Braden said, Todd, thank you for everything that you do. Convene would not be possible without you. You're the man. Braden's been around since day one. And so when that's coming from Braden and I have had this conversation quite often and a lot. We know we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be in this situation. I mean this with all honesty. We would not be in this situation if it wasn't working with you. And I mean that. And this relationship working with you has been wonderful. I enjoy, it's two redneck guys. And I can't say any more plain. It's two redneck guys getting on a call. And so we had this thing. So this is how we'll close it out. This is how we can close tonight out. We are really pushing to get to our big events, right? We're going to get to the big events next September. We want 2,000 people in an event, and me and Todd are going to come on the stage. And what's going to happen, Todd? What are people going to look at us and say?
Just the first words out of my mouth, and they're just gonna.
Yeah, Todd and I.
How in the world did these two build a website? How?
Yeah, we joke about that all the time. How?
And we've been joking about that since we first met.
Yeah,
since that first Zoom call.
Yeah, since that first Zoom call, not knowing how far it would come and what it would become. That people one day are going to be, there's no way these two rednecks came up with this platform and this idea. Big thinkers, baby. That's what we are.
That's right.
Yeah, big thinkers, big dreamers. So that's it. All right, Todd. We're at the end of the time. I will give you the chance to close us out. Like I said, I've already said, thank you for everything that you do. We wouldn't be here without you. I am going to keep sending you emails. I'm going to keep making requests. I
wouldn't expect anything less.
I am going to keep pressing you. I'm going to keep coming up with the ideas. You're going to keep telling me no, and then you're going to come back and say, look what I did. Mm-hmm. So that's how we work. So it's awesome. So thank you so much. I'll let you close out, and then Stezo will take us out of there. As always, Stezo, thank you so much for tonight. Todd, thank you for being on. I wanted everybody to meet the man behind the curtain, the code wizard.
I'm sure I will be back.
Yeah, that's right. Although, Stezo, can you delete this? Yeah, you had to make
He's
sure.
He's shaking his head, yes.
All right. Say your last words, Todd. Take us out of here.
I just want to, invite everybody to come check out the site, check out the platform. Like I've said before, don't be intimidated when you first see it. Just play around, just go through, join some groups, join some communities, take some experiences. The more you use it, the more you learn. And pretty soon, you'll be just as good at me and Matt as using the platform.
To be honest,
it's not. Yeah,
probably won't happen. Todd, thanks. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you for having me.
Look forward to this long relationship. Thank you for being a part of Convene.